What if I told you that you no longer live in the same reality as most people around you, that while they are still fighting against time, you have already learned to dance with him? There is a time in life when everything changes, but nothing around you feels different. The streets remain the same, people follow their routines, the sun rises and sets as it always did. But inside you, something fundamental has been transformed. It's like waking up inside a dream and realizing that you've always been awake. You begin to question not the world, but the version of you that used to inhabit it. The things that once moved you now seem distant, almost irrelevant. And then comes the question that changes everything. When did I become this person? The answer is simple and at the same time profound. You have not become. You just stopped pretending to be who you weren't. And that, my dear soul, is the first clue that you have ever crossed an invisible portal. Welcome to the fifth dimension, where life does not happen to you, but through you. It didn't seem like a big event. There were no fireworks, no bells ringing, no cosmic announcement. In fact, it happened during an ordinary moment. Maybe when you were looking out the window, silently wondering why the world looked different. But something has changed. You may not have noticed it at the time, but your entire energetic project began to transform. And the truth is that you have already entered the fifth dimension without even realizing it. The fifth dimension is not a place in space. It is a state of consciousness. It is a layer of reality that exists right here, overlapping with your current reality, but operating at a higher vibration. Many people spend years chasing it, waiting for signs, trying to force it. But for you, the transformation has already begun. In this video, we will present 5 fundamental signs that prove that you have already entered the fifth dimension and why this perception will change how you live, think, and connect from this moment on. Have you felt recently that you are no longer trapped in chaos, but watching it from a distance, almost like a silent observer? If you've noticed that you're becoming more neutral, less reactive, and more reflective during everyday situations, that's not detachment, it's dimensional alignment. You are beginning to operate from 5D consciousness, where perception is expansive, not restricted. In 3D and 4D, life feels like a movie in which you are both actor and victim. But in 5D, something changes. You start to see that it's the screen on which the film is projected, not just the character inside it. When someone yells at you, you pause before reacting. When plans change, you don't spiral, you adapt. This is not apathy, it is divine consciousness. This shift often creeps in during quiet moments, when you're sitting on a park bench or driving alone in silence. It's subtle. You can look around and feel like you're watching a play that others are acting in. Conversations seem slower, more transparent. Emotions rise and fall, but they no longer hold you back. You feel them fully, but then you let them pass. You are no longer fighting against the moment, you are flowing through it. If you've ever found yourself thinking, I used to be so upset about this, but now I feel strangely calm, this is your proof. It's not because you've stopped caring. It is because your frequency has changed. The drama no longer matches your vibration. You have entered the frequency where presence, not performance, becomes your natural state. You're finally starting to remember who you are beneath all the noise. And that's the first undeniable sign of your entry into 5D. Lately, you may have noticed that your perception of time is completely different. Days seem like hours, the hours seem like seconds, or sometimes the opposite. You look at the clock and only 5 minutes have passed, but you've processed an entire emotional breakthrough. That's not your imagination, it is a shift in temporal consciousness. You are no longer bound by linear time. The third and fourth dimensions operate on structured timelines, past, present, future. You wake up, you work, you sleep, you repeat. But in the fifth dimension, time begins to become fluid, malleable. It's not that time itself is changing, but your relationship with it is. You are now experiencing life through energetic presence, not the ticking of a clock. That's why some memories can feel like dreams. You will ask yourself, did this happen last week or last year? The events are confused. You start to feel more in sync with what's happening now, rather than what's supposed to happen next. You may even notice strange synchronicities. Think of someone, and then they call, or decide to go somewhere and meet someone important by coincidence. These moments are not random. It is time bending to meet your vibration. When you are in 5D consciousness, you begin to live by inner alignment rather than rigid schedules. You know when it's time to take action because you feel the energy shift. You know when to rest without guilt. You no longer measure productivity by how many things you did, but by how present you were when you did them. That is the mark of an awakened soul. And if time has started to feel strange, flowing, or even disappearing around you, it's not a glitch. It is a sign. You have begun to harmonize with a dimension that is not governed by clocks, but by consciousness, and that's just the beginning. You may have noticed a strange transformation in your relationships. You don't argue so much. You don't feel the need to explain yourself to people who are determined not to understand you. You are no longer wishing to be right. You are wishing for peace. And this change is sacred. It is a fifth dimensional signature. The ego thrives on conflict, but his soul is hungry for resonance. That's why conversations that once seemed necessary now seem heavy-handed. The drama exhausts you. Superficial conversations drain you. You don't hate people. You are just becoming extremely sensitive to energy that does not align with your new frequency. And that's why silence has become his new power. You will find that you would rather walk away than defend your truth. You speak less, but your words carry more weight. And in your quiet moments, you're not lonely. You're recalibrating yourself. You're healing through stillness. The fifth dimension rewards this inner clarity. It deepens your intuition. It allows you to read the energy behind the words. You start to feel people's emotions even when they don't say anything. This signal is one of the clearest because it changes how you navigate human interaction. You don't have to win the conversation anymore. You need to protect your vibration. And that doesn't make you weak. This makes you deeply evolved. If you have stopped chasing closure, if you have learned to breathe instead of reacting, if you find strength in your silence, then you have crossed the threshold. The fifth dimension is not a noisy place. It is a silent and sacred knowing, and you are learning to live from that space more and more every day. In the past, uncertainty terrified you. You needed plans, you needed control, you needed to know what was coming next. But now, you feel strangely drawn to the mystery. You are no longer resisting the unknown, you're dancing with him. This is one of the most powerful signs of dimensional shift. When you trade from 3D or 4D, life is about managing risk. But in the fifth dimension, life becomes about trusting your path. Even when you can't see the whole road, you begin to understand that not knowing is part of remembering. That faith is not about seeing, it's about feeling. This does not mean that you have become reckless. In fact, you are more centered than ever, but now you trust your energy more than your plans. You follow instincts, you feel the right moment, you let go without falling apart. You move away from what you have overcome without needing a plan B. You're no longer addicted to certainty. You have replaced fear with alignment. And this is critical because the fifth dimension is built on flow. It's not about security, it's about synchronicity. It's not about controlling results, it's about embodying trust. And if you have reached a point where you are able to walk through open doors, even when you are not sure what is on the other side, then you have already entered 5D energy. Let that sit for a moment. You're no longer trying to predict life. You are learning to live it. Something unusual is going on inside you. You feel lighter, less overwhelmed. Even during difficult times, there is a quiet force growing within you. You have begun to release old burdens that once seemed permanent. Its body appears less dense, your thoughts more fluid, your truest emotions. But at the same time, you have gone deeper. Your conversations carry more meaning. Its presence seems more magnetic. You find beauty in moments that others ignore. You pause to feel things fully. You cry shamelessly. You laugh without needing a reason. This contrast, the lightness and depth, is the ultimate marker of fifth-dimensional consciousness. Because 5D is not about perfection. It's not about pretending to be enlightened. It's about integrating the human and the divine. It's about feeling all of this and still choosing peace. You are not escaping the world. You're seeing through it. You are no longer running away from pain. You are transmuting it. That's why your energy looks different to others. People feel it, even if they can't explain it. Some are drawn to you instantly. Others may move away. But this is not rejection. It's realignment. Your frequency is no longer matching their timeline. And that's okay. You're not here to fit in. You are here to awaken. So, if you have begun to feel both weightless and grounded, both expansive and centered, then yes, you have entered the fifth dimension. And you didn't have to leave the house, sing in a cave, or fast for 40 days. You just needed to remember who you really are. One of the most profound changes happens so quietly that you can miss it. It is not a ray of perception. It is a slow development. You wake up one day and realize that you no longer care what they think. Not out of pride, not out of rebellion, but because something deeper took over. You're being pulled inward into your own center, and the noise of the world suddenly feels less important. This is the mark of someone who entered 5D without even realizing it. In the old reality, its value was measured by applause, approval, agreement. You pursued them unknowingly, through likes on social media, through achievements, through being the good version of yourself that others would accept. But now the mirror has turned inward. You care more about how your soul feels after a choice, not how others perceive it. You began to live for alignment, not approval. You no longer compromise your peace just to avoid judgment. And ironically, the more you align with your inner truth, the more magnetic you become. People feel their integrity. Your self-confidence becomes higher than your self-doubt. This does not mean that you have become isolated. It means that you have become sovereign. You've stopped chasing answers from others. You have stopped asking permission to evolve. You trust your gut more than the opinions of the crowd. And that's how you know. You are no longer seeking the reflection of the world to feel valuable. You remembered that your worth was never in question. This is a 5D perception that most people miss. And yes, it's uncomfortable at first. When the crowd no longer defines you, there is an initial silence, but don't confuse this stillness with loneliness. This is your energy restarting. That is your soul claiming your frequency. You're not disappearing. You're refining yourself. So if you've reached a point where peace means more than praise, where loneliness feels sacred, and where you follow your inner compass instead of public maps, then you're already living in the fifth dimension. You're not trying to prove that you're awake. You are simply being, and that's powerful. Here's the truth that most people don't realize. You don't enter the fifth dimension all at once. It is not a portal through which you pass one morning and never return. It is a gradual attunement, a remembrance of a higher state to which you have always had access. You can still experience human emotions. You will still face challenges. But the difference is in how you move through them. You now operate from a center that is no longer reactive. You answer clearly. You rest when needed. You don't cling to the old version of yourself. You allow rebirth. And more importantly, you recognize that none of this is about escaping the world. It's about engaging with it from a different frequency. A place where love, not fear, guides you. where intuition replaces anxiety, where you no longer chase energy, you become her. So if those signals resonated, even a little bit, pause, breathe, let it in. You are already in the new dimension, not because someone told you, but because your soul has already chosen you. Your body is remembering her, your life is reflecting it. The fifth dimension is not waiting for you somewhere in the sky, it's right here inside you. Welcome home. And now, what will you do with this awareness? Because knowing that you are already in the fifth dimension is not the end of the journey. It is only the beginning of consciously living in it. Each choice you make from now on carries a different weight, a clearer intention, a higher frequency. You don't have to announce this to anyone. It does not need to convince the skeptics or prove the doubters. Your only responsibility is to honor that truth in every breath, in every word, in every silence. Because you are no longer here to survive, you are here to transmute, to be the bridge between the old and the new, to remind others, simply by their presence, that there is another way of being. So walk with that silent certainty, love with that expansive depth, and know that every time you choose peace over drama, you're not just changing your life. You are raising the frequency of the entire planet. That is its mission. And you've already started.